is nobody out there that is here to save you. You can have guides, you can have teachers, you can have mentors, you can have friends, you can have somebody that holds your hand and that is nudging you, challenging you, triggering you, inspiring you. But at the end of the day, happiness is an inside job. You are the one that is responsible for your feelings. You are the one that is responsible for your experiences. Okay, so you have a shitty relationship. So why do you choose to stay? Okay, so you have a job that doesn't satisfy you or give you the money that you want. Okay, so, you know, to a different choice. Okay, so every time that you become aware of this and you take it back to yourself, that is to take radical responsibility and to say, thank you. Thank you for challenging me. Thank you for triggering me. And I mean, it's not easy at the moment, but we can snap and we can become angry. We're only humans. But then you sort of see it and you catch yourself and you say, I'm sorry, sorry for lashing out on you, or sorry for being so frustrated.
Welcome to today's episode of Unleash Thyself. I am your host, Konstantin Moron, and today's guest is Ulrika Karlsson, a beacon of resilience and transformation. From battling depression, stress, and sleep disorders to a point of being suicidal, Ulrika embarked on an empowering journey to change the narrative of her life. Today, she is a successful author, feminine leadership coach, international spiritual teacher, and yoga therapist. Her autobiographical book, 247 The Journey Home to My Heart, offers a raw and moving account of her journey. It has become an international source of inspiration, offering hope to those grappling with mental illness. In today's conversation, we explore Ulrika's transition from darkness to light, we'll delve into the shadow work that became her path to recovery and how others can use their struggles as gifts to open new paths in their life. We'll also discuss the transformative power of choice and love. Get ready for an insightful and unforgettable conversation that could change the way you perceive life and its challenges. Let's dive in. Welcome back to Unleash Thyself, the podcast that inspires and empowers you to unleash your full potential. I am thrilled to welcome Ulrika Karlsson to the show. Ulrika, we can't wait to hear more about the experiences and insights that have led you to where you are today and your unleashed moment, the moment you knew you are on your own path to becoming the best version of yourself. Ulrika, it's such a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Konstantin. I'm really looking forward to have this talk with you and to share our energy out into the ether. So thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. So tell us a bit about your journey. What would you like to start?
I know that my journey when I was depressed and suicidal, it inspires many people because I know that many people can relate to it, even though that they might not be so depressed so that others are suicidal. But most of us that live in the world today, we are more or less stressed in one way. And when we are stressed and we don't, pay attention, or we don't do anything differently, we don't deal with the stress or the situations that is causing the stress, then the stress will lead to not being at ease, aka dis-ease. So in the Western world today, we see most of us that are, sick comes from stress-related sort of different symptoms. So, and my journey is that I have been really, really depressed, burnout, and also suicidal. So I think that could be a good way to start
Yeah,
to
absolutely. I
talk
mean,
about.
that's such a difficult journey to be on. I can only imagine. I mean, I've been depressed myself last year quite a bit, so I can relate with that part. But yeah, I cannot wait to hear how you've overcome that and some of the lessons you may perhaps have learned through the struggles you've had and how you help others overcome their own struggles.
Thank you. So the way I see it now, when I'm, at the other end of the tunnel, is that a depression or a disease of some sorts or some kind of chaos is actually a disguised gift. The word chaos in Greek actually means, also from chaos comes order, divine order. So I think it is our souls within us that has tried to communicate with us for a very long time, and we haven't paid attention, we haven't listened. So the soul sort of nudges us out of our comfort zone. Maybe, like a divorce, or as we already said, some kind of sickness or disease, for you to realign yourself with who you are on a soul level. Because we are only experiences these kind of things when we are disaligned or misaligned, when we are not who we supposedly are and what we should be doing. And for me, it was a journey of many, many years. It started with sleeping disorders when I was very, very young. I am 52 today, so it started in my early teenagers. So I had sleeping disorders, and it started really gradually. Like, first I had really difficulties in falling asleep, right? And then I had these a couple of years, and then I adapted to that, and then I in the night time I started to wake up many times per night, and then I adapted to that over the time and over the years. And then these gaps, these intervals where I was sleeping, they became less and less. And eventually I found myself in a very, very dark place where I only slept 15 minutes per night.
Ouch.
So my first book is actually called 2:47 a.m. The Journey Home to My Heart. And this is my autobiography about my journey from depression, mental illness, being suicidal, and coming back into life. And 2:47 a.m. was the time that I woke up every night after only 15 minutes of sleep. And every night I experienced nightmares where I was being murdered, tortured, and slaughtered in my dreams. So I woke up with panic in my heart. My heart was pounding, and I had this stale taste of blood in my mouth. I was so panicking, I didn't know where I was until I caught the alarm clock, and it was 2:47 a.m. And then I knew that I had, only slept for 15 minutes. And in these 15 minutes, they have been really full of horrible, horrible nightmares. And every time that I woke up at 2:47 a.m., I had these images still burning on my retina. So, and so over the years, I became sort of adapted to this poor sleep, but obviously it affected my health in so many areas. My cognitive abilities were gone. I had eating disorders, sleeping disorders, obviously. I was depressed, I was suicidal, I had panic attacks. I had problems with my stomach. I had eczema. So a lot of different stress-related symptoms, and together, like a total mess, a total chaos. So for me, where I am now, I truly believe that I had to go through all of that to become more conscious of who I am, why I'm here, and what's my mission here on earth. So I remember at the time, one of my sort of wake-up calls, or one of my profound moments, was that I was married at the time, but I never told my husband that I had these nightmares and that I was so depressed and that I was burnout and totally exhausted. I just told him that I was very, very tired. I had 2 small kids at the time. And so I told him I was very tired, so I wanted to go away to my parents' cabin out into the Swedish archipelago. And I was so sensitive of any kind of lights and sound, so my nervous system was like firing all the time. I was like a junkie. So I went out to the archipelago, just telling my husband that I was really, really tired and that I needed some time by myself. And when I go out into the archipelago, it's in the winter. I am from Sweden, so it's pitch black and a lot of snow. But I turn off the electricity, I turn off the heater, the freeze, everything, because I couldn't stand these noises. And then I remember I'm having a feeling or a sensation that I have this volcano within me that is about to erupt. And it scares the shit out of me because I don't know what it is and why. I don't know how to handle it. And at the time, I had really, big issues with sleeping, eating disorders. So I tried to control my many emotions and I suppressed them by controlling food. That was like a tool for me at the time. But I have this feeling something is about to erupt. So I walk out into the forest in the Swedish archipelago, and it's a beautiful winter's day. The sun is shining and the snow is falling down. And then it feels like something is moving within me at quite a quick pace, and it scares the shit out of me. So I'm walking even faster, and then I can feel it's moving even more. And obviously, I don't know what it is. So I'm trying to think my way around it and try to suppress it, and I try to distract myself from this unknown, horrible sensation in my body. And then I just hear like a snap within me. And at the same time, I get this cruciating pain in my chest. It's like being stabbed by a knife straight through my heart. And I'm falling down into the snow thinking, oh my God, I'm going to die here. I'm having a massive heart attack. I'm going to die here all by myself in the forest. I didn't have time to say goodbye to my kids. Nobody knows where I am because I'm straight out, in the pitch dark forest or in the forest. And so I'm falling down into the snow. I grab on to my heart, trying to sort of press it inwards because it feels like it was going to be shattered into a million pieces. And then I hear another snap while I'm falling down. And this, whatever volcano that is inside of me, it just starts suddenly. It's like I hear this, primal screams from a dying animal or, something. And I'm lying there, not only afraid that I'm going to die, that I have this heart attack, only, also thinking that, oh my God, there's wolves here or, bears or whatever that are really dangerous. Until I realized that these sounds came from within me, from a space I didn't even know existed. So there I lie in the snow, holding onto my heart, lying in a fetus position, and I'm crying, I am howling, I'm screaming, I'm yelling, my body's moving, it's twisting, jerking, and I just, the pain is too much to handle. So I just sort of surrender, just welcome death. And so there I am, many, many hours. And, I lose track of time and space. I don't know where I am. It's like this sort of deep, deep, deep animalistic instinct within me that has taken over. And so when I finally come to my senses, it's many hours later because it's pitch black there in the forest. And I can hear, it's like my senses has been enhanced. I can hear the snowflakes falling. I can see different shapes and forms, even though it's pitch black. And for the first time in my life, it is completely still in my brain. No thoughts. And I just have these, the best way I can describe it is like sort of expansion, a stillness expanding. And that was the first time that I, encountered this kind of deep, calm, relaxed emotion for, decades. I've never experienced anything like that. And I didn't know at the time what it was all about, and I didn't understand it. I just knew, I had this deep inner knowing that what I had been through was, in a way, profound for me. So that is one of my turning points, because when I went home after the forest, I couldn't move really fast. I had to walk really slow. And I was so in tune with my inner realms, how I felt this stillness and expansion. And it was all still. I couldn't think one thought. So when I come back to the cabin, and for the first time in decades, I don't have anxiety, I don't feel panic, I don't, so I'm sitting there in the darkness in a rocking chair all night and feeling that something profound has just happened to me, even though that I didn't know what it was. So this was the starting point for me to sort of meet, embrace, dive into, and to transform all my inner emotions and feelings that I have ever suppressed. Because I know now that I am an intuitive empath. I'm very, very sensitive. I sense not only how other people feel, but I can also feel their emotions. So everything that I had suppressed, I'm from Sweden. We have this culture here that we are not supposed to show or express too big emotions, whether you're happy or sad or angry or scared or whatever. So over the years and over the centuries, I had sort of over the decades, I had built up this inner pressure of a lot of stored unresolved emotions and feelings and traumas that I wasn't even aware of. So I've spent many, many years, allowing all kinds of feelings to emerge to the surface because we cannot change what we are not even aware of. So when things come to the surface, it's an opportunity for you, to see it with the eyes of your consciousness and to become aware. Okay, so this is information that we all have deep within us as we, only have access to 5% of consciousness. So so my journey started there in the forest where I thought I was having a heart attack and was about to die, and instead it was a turning point for a better and greater life, more aligned with who I am on a soul level.
Yeah, what an incredible story there, Olis. And I was having shivers up my spine as you're sharing that, right? Because it's an incredible story. You don't hear that type of transformation or event very often. And I would imagine some people, when you even tell them that, they're like, did it really happen or did she dream it? But I can totally see how the universe, like you said, was sending you messages, or your higher self or God, whatever people believe in, and you weren't receiving them, and you had to be one this big moment to align you on the path of becoming the best version of yourself and becoming who you're meant to be, who you want to be. So what
Exactly.
happened next? Like, how long did it take you to process what happened and make changes?
A very good question. I wish I could tell you who's listening, that's a quick fix. But for me, it wasn't. And I don't believe that there are quick fixes like that, because what I truly believe is that we all have deep conditioned programs that are residing in our subconscious or unconscious mind, these 95% where we don't have access to that easily. So I do believe that a lot of traumas, a lot of stress, unresolved emotions, etc., are being stored in each and one of us due to our, cultural and social conditioning. And I believe that, each country have their own sort of also programs. Not only do we have programs in the collective, but we also have sort of some kind of differences in our cultural and social programming. But so for me, it took many, many, many years, because I was so my body was so exhausted. My adrenals, my inner organs were so depleted and so exhausted. It's like a metaphor, like a bank account. If I'm only, doing a withdrawal all the time, I'm taking out money, taking out money, taking out money, what will happen? Well, I would be bankruptcy, right? So I had to work through layers and layers of, stored traumas and unresolved emotions from this lifetime, from my ancestral lineages on my mother's side and my father's side. And also, I'm a yogi, and we believe that energy never dies. We believe that energy is just being transformed into different shapes and forms. And with that said, that means that all of us have been here, living lives, previous lifetimes, reincarnated into this body in this lifetime. So we have all these accumulated traumas from past lifetimes residing in our subconscious and unconscious mind. And we all have been perpetrators, soldiers. We have all been victims. And these energies, these programs are lingering in the 95% of our subconscious programs, which govern us even today. It controls our love relationships, it controls our relationship with money, with ourselves, how we are illusioned to believe, that we are something else. So my deepest belief is that within us we have our ego. All of us have the ego, and the ego's task is to keep us safe, and we are always kept safe by the ego in the comfort zone, right? But we know that there's no growth in the comfort zone. So that's where the soul comes in, because the soul, it doesn't want you just to survive. Your soul wants you to thrive. And that means that it pushes you out of the comfort zone. You're meeting people who are triggering you. You are experiencing hardships and challenging things in life. We all have them. And how we are navigate through them, it's also an opportunity for growth, for personal growth. So the way I see it was that I'm a very stubborn person. So for me, I had to go, all the way to rock bottom, because I didn't listen. My body was communicating with me many, many, many years before I got suicidal and depressed. But I was so busy and too much up in my headspace, too much in my ego, doing, performing, always being busy. So I didn't pay attention. So for me, it was like I had to really hit rock bottom before I could make the changes. And they took me many, many, many years. And I've been, attending to a lot of different holistic modalities. But the main thing for healing is, to do your inner shadow work. People call it shadow, or your inner wounds or traumas, whatever we call them, because we all have them. And that is the energy that we are transmitting, out into the collective consciousness. So once we become aware that we have a lot of traumas, we have a lot of stress, we have a lot of unresolved emotions, then we have the opportunity to change them and to transform it into more consciousness, more light, more awareness. So for me, that was an ongoing journey for maybe, like 10 years before I had made so much depositions into that bank account myself, so that I had more energy that I was, taking out.
Yeah, that's powerful, that, Ulrika. And I can agree with you 100% that I have the same beliefs. And even though I've been on my spiritual journey and self-discovery journey for a shorter period of time, I'm coming to realize exactly what you just said, right? We all have things that we bury deep down inside, and until we look inwards and we look at what we hold inside of us and allow them to come up, it's going to be very hard to truly do personal development work, because everything you do that's external, the way I see it, is just like putting another layer of paint on top of, let's say, a rusty foundation.
Yes.
So we have to come in and do the work.
Yes. And that is also why we are all contributing to the mess that we see in the world today, because we all have that inner mess within us, even though if we are conscious of it or not. Because most people, there's so many things also designed here where we live in the matrix, in the third dimensional, where we have our physical bodies. And to be here in 3D, it's a very dense experience, like fear, for instance. Fear and worry and, frustration, these experiences are very low in density. And that's why we are experiencing them, through our physical bodies. But that is also can be used as a trampoline, to dive deeper within and to transform. Because I cannot, do good things out here, change the world, if I'm a total mess myself. So the change that I really want to do and I want to contribute to a better world, it starts with me. So I can't sit here and, tell people what to do, or how government should do, or, how we should manage pollution and environmental issues when I'm full of inner shit myself. The great thing is, though, that we can use our inner shits, our karma, our wounds, traumas, shadows, etc. We can use that inner shit as fertilizer for us to grow, if we choose so, because we always have a choice as a free soul. And I'm writing about it here in my latest book. It's called The Sacred Soul, A Divine Evolution Through Time and Space. And this book is here to remind us on who we are. We are not our physical bodies. We are not our minds. We are not our thoughts. We are not our experiences. We are divine souls from divine source, each and one of us, with a unique frequency, a divine expression from divine source. But we have forgotten that we are divine, and we have forgotten that we are from source, and we are being governed by our unconscious and subconscious mind and these programs. And this is how we also maintain and uphold these energies out into the collective consciousness. That's why there's wars, conflicts. That's why we are polluting, our environment, etc. So once we get to do the inner work, and that's a choice, because we can choose to stay where we are comfort. We can choose to stay in a poor relationship, even though that we know it's poor, even though that we long for something more, but we might not have the courage or the visions or the energy for that right now. But so then it's a choice to being stuck, right? And our souls always tries to move us forward into our, the evolution of our souls, so we can be our best individual, unique, divine expression from source. So each and one of us can serve others, because we are all here to serve, one way or another. One people makes the most delicious food and nourishments for our bodies, and other people write music. And I'm like a spiritual healer and spiritual teacher, because most of us, we are so spiritually disconnected, right? So we live here in the matrix, running around in the hamster wheel, and we believe our monkey mind. The Buddhist refers to it, our mind, as the monkey mind. It's always moving, always, overthinking, overwhelming, etc. So we can choose to stay where we are in that poor relationship, or poor relationship within ourselves, or whatever, or we can choose to evolve. And not always that the evolution is just like sitting. Many people believe that I'm a yogi and it's just like and you're in a bliss. No, the more light, the more awareness and consciousness you want to have access to, the more shadows, traumas, inner darkness you need to transform.
Yeah, because you can't have one without the other, right? You always
Exactly.
can have the
Exactly.
duality of it.
Exactly.
Uh, Let me ask you this, Ulrika. That's all really fascinating when you really think about it and sit with it, right? And you talked about this already. The idea that awareness is the first step. Being aware that A, you have a choice, and B, you have all these traumas, regardless of how good your upbringing was or your life has been so far. And then, of course, having a choice to do something about it. How have you seen people responding to this task that, well, they have to look inwards? And the reason I ask this is because I've noticed in my own case, it took years and years to accept the fact that the answers I was looking for were not external of me, but they were internal. And then I had to go through some dark times and a lot of different experiences to be able to come on the other side and begin the journey, right? Just at the beginning of it. So, what have you seen with the people that read your book or you worked with in guiding them on this path? And what type of resistance are you seeing and how can we overcome it?
Great questions. Thank you. So the way I see it is, I don't know if you know about numerology. Yes. So in numerology, I'm a number 8, meaning that I am here to stir things up, you know. And I also, my soul destiny's number is 11, which is a master's number. So my mission here is to inspire and empower others. And it's like this saying, the truth shall set you free, but first it might piss you off, right?
Love that.
So many people find me very, inspirational, and that is good because you can empower somebody if they feel inspired or attracted to you and your energy or your work, etc. And other people find themselves challenged, and that is also a good starting point, because the challenges that are in our face, all the challenges we face, the outer triggers out there, something is happening, I react, something is happening and I react, and we blame it on, it's my parents' fault, it's the society's fault, it's my boss' fault. We never take full responsibility that, whatever I am experiencing is within me. Like, I just want to give you a quick example. So I do a teacher training now for people here in Sweden, and there's this lady, and she is so frustrated with me. She's so frustrated with me, and she finds circumstances all the time. The lights on my videos are bad, the sound is bad, she can't hear what I'm saying. My questions are challenging, and she's so frustrated. So everything that I give her and teach her and make her see makes her frustrated, and she blames it on me, that the sound is bad, that the lights, the video is not working, etc., instead of realizing and to take radical responsibility. Okay, wow, I have this feeling of frustration. So instead of blaming it on somebody out there, what is the information? Like, when was the first time I was frustrated? What is this message really trying to tell me? Okay, maybe I'm frustrated at myself because I feel that I'm not enough, or maybe I feel, these challenges that are too big for me, but they're not, because we're always just given exactly what we are ready for, right? So instead of, and this is also what most of us do, our perception, the way we look upon ourselves and the world, we project outwardly. And this is also why we are contributing to the mess. Because if I have a lot of fears, I have a lot of negativity, I have a lot of worries, and then I project it out there. So it's people are both inspired and both challenged. And I say that is great, because that is, one way or the other, a way for you to become more aware, to become more conscious, and from there take more conscious and radical responsibility. But as we continue to abdicate our power, the frustration, and I keep telling my clients that whatever you are experiencing, it's nothing, that is good or bad, better or worse than anything else. It's just information. But everything that you experience is within you, and therefore it's up to you to navigate through it. And if I'm going to continue and uphold the energy of always blaming somebody else, in this case me, then I'm not taking radical responsibility. Then there is no growth, then there is no evolution, because then I just keep repeating what I've always done, and then the results that I've done will always be repeating itself. So, but I always say that challenges and triggers are good, because they are disguised gifts if you choose to see it that way.
And I love this so much, Ulrika. And I can resonate with 100%. It's almost like you're speaking to my past self as well, because I've been there, right? And I think most of us have been always passing on responsibility to others. That person cut me off in traffic, and that's why I'm pissed off.
Exactly.
Right? Like, that's a good example for me because that happened so many times in the past. And it was, maybe I'm pissed off because I left the house too late and I'm going to be late to that meeting, not because this person cut me off or there's construction or whatever. It's because of a choice I made. And for
Exactly.
me, it didn't start to make sense until, like, you provided some good examples, that I started looking inwards and said, okay, let's challenge myself and see, did I really have a choice? A. And B, was it really the responsibility lying with someone else or with me? And every time, no matter how many examples I would pick, from the simplest to the more complex ones, I could always narrow it down to something I chose to do. And that was
Exactly.
such a huge eye-opening moment. You're like, oh, okay, now that makes sense.
It's a huge eye-opening moment. It is amazing and annoying at the same time, because at that point you realize, okay, I'm annoyed, I'm frustrated, I'm tired, whatever that I am or experiencing. Uh, and I want to advocate my power, saying it's my partner's wrong or it's my kids, they're teenagers and they're being, no, it always comes back to oneself. Okay, so here's another layer of information. Here's another opportunity for growth. So it's, amazing and annoying. And that there's nobody out there that is here to save you. You can have guides, you can have teachers, you can have mentors, you can have friends, you can have somebody that holds your hand and that is nudging you, challenging you, triggering you, inspiring you. At the end of the day, happiness is an inside job. You are the one that is responsible for your feelings. You are the one that is responsible for your experiences. Okay, so you have a shitty relationship. So why do you choose to stay? Okay, so you have a job that doesn't, satisfy you or give you the money that you want. Okay, so, to a different choice. Okay, so you are, your health is bad. Okay, so choose differently. So every time that you become aware of this and you take it back to yourself, that is to take radical responsibility and, to say, thank you for challenging me. Thank you for triggering me. And I mean, it's not easy at the moment, but, we can snap and we can become angry. We're only humans. But then you sort of see it and you catch yourself and you say, I'm sorry, sorry for lashing out on you, or sorry for being so frustrated. It's all me. Because a couple of weeks ago, I had so much frustration over my client. And I was talking to my partner. I'm like, it doesn't matter what I do. She's so frustrated and she doesn't want to pay, this month fee for the teacher training. And the way she expresses is like she says, you wouldn't do this or you wouldn't do that, assuming, my reactions. And then, my partner, he tried to solve it at first. And then he was just, looking at me and, so who are you angry with, really? I'm angry with myself. I'm angry, for putting myself into this position once again, being too kind and taken advantage of. And, I wanted to give her this teacher training and suggested to her, okay, you can split the payments. It doesn't matter. I really want to give you this. So I'm angry with myself, right? So but there's a lot of growth in that. And I believe if we've done this, on automatic, like an auto response 100 times, but then you catch yourself. So then you might not doing as long or as deep as you have done before. And then you might only do it 99 times out of 100. And then you might do it 97. So it's like this progress. And the more we take radical responsibility, the more we become aware of, the more layers we have, access to clear out. And so it is so exciting. It's so multidimensional. I just want to mention also, like, this book, Holy Fuck, and Sacred Water, The Secret Connections to Everything. And here we are describing anything from a micro perspective, like on a cellular level, out to the macro perspective in the universe. and that everything that I'm talking about here is stored in our waters, the sacred water within us. We contain of more than 75% of water. And these memories from these lifetimes, where we didn't express how we felt, where we didn't heal our traumas or stress or anything, we just suppressed it. Everything is stored within our waters, in our cells, in our DNA. So in your DNA, you have access to all these conscious and unconscious programs that we all have. So that's why it is so important to clear out on a cellular level, our water, because water conducts electricity and water comes with codes. And water also equals emotions and our inner blood, blood pumping around in our veins. So that's why also the world looks like this mess, because we are so polluted in our inner waters. And this is also a reflection on how we treat Mother Earth, how we pollute outer oceans, lakes, etc., with our mindsets, with our ways of living, because there are millions of ways and strategies to distract us, to numb us, to pollute us, right? So this 3D that we are in, it's designed for us to be distracted and numbed. And everything that we can use, we can also abuse. Like I know you live in America right now, right?
North America, yeah, Canada.
Canada, sorry, yeah. But in
Yeah,
most Western countries, we have these illusionary mindsets that, working hard is good, working a lot is good, and, being how do you say, workaholic, that is something that is good. Yay, she's very effective, he's very good at what he does, etc. But actually that is a big illusion, because a workaholic is a severe disconnection in the root chakra. So what you are lacking in your self-worth, you try to compensate with a high self-confidence, right? And we are in the illusions that we need to do something to be loved. We need to earn love. And the more we do, the better we are in school with higher grades, the more love we will get. That is just one big fucked up illusion. So, and everything of these are stored within our cells and our DNA.
that's really powerful, Ulrika. Again, thank you for sharing that. And I can definitely see how that works, and it's something that I've heard a few times now already, especially with the idea of the mentalities that we all have and how everything is keeping us so busy and so distracted that we don't have time to sit and listen to ourselves and do the inner work. And one follow-up question I'll have to what you just shared as well is, what are some tools that you've seen work for people to start doing this work? Because we talked about becoming aware first, right? That's the first step, knowing you have a choice. But then some people may ask, well, what next? What can I do? And I know that not one tool will work for everyone, right? There's so many tools. Some may work for you, some may not. But I'm curious to see what you've seen in your experience of helping others and yourself, of some tools that people may be able to employ.
Good question. You have many good questions, Konstantin. So I truly believe in my own personal professional experience is, and so this is also the paradox. Most of us, we try to solve, the problem. We are trained, we are more used to be problem solvers. Okay, so here's a problem. The problem is that I don't feel good. I have this symptom or this disease, or I'm not happy. So I try to solve this problem with my mind, which created the problem in the first place, right? So, and many people also, I'm a yogi, but many people also believe that, think positive, do a lot of affirmations. And if I'm only thinking positive, there's also this saying, put it in a bubble and blow it away. This is a very mental approach, right? And it won't address the things that are stored within your body, because everything that is stored within the body needs the body in one way or another to work through it. You know, most of us also are doing spiritual bypass, because that's why we are so much in the headspace, and then we relax. Maybe we go to yoga class and we enter into our bodies and into our hearts, and all of a sudden, you know, there's this what people label as a discomfort feeling, or, you know, I don't feel well, or oh my god, I feel anxiety, or oh, here's a lot of grief, or oh, I'm scared of this and that, because these emotions are surfacing when we are relaxed. They don't, you know, when we are being busy and distracted all the time. But when we are relaxing and sinking into our bodies, descending into our bodies, these feelings and suppressed traumas, they comes to the surface, they come as information. And then many of us are like, oh no, something is happening. So we keep, you know, try to suppress them again with food, with medications, with drugs, alcohol, work, etc., etc. So everything that we can use, we can also abuse, right?
So that something interesting came to mind right now, because there is a saying, at least in North America, at least that I know of, that you usually get sick after a period of stress. So when you're stressed and you're working really hard, you can push through it. But as soon as you calm down, you maybe take a vacation, that's when everything hits you, like a disease or a sickness. And the way you explained what happens now actually finally clicks as to why that happens. Because
Yes,
you're finally relaxed and these things are coming up and now there's nowhere to hide.
exactly.
They
And
will hit you.
exactly. But if I keep myself busy all the time, whether it's mental, you know, busyness, or physical or emotional, or, you know, being in projects all the time. So I never, because this is also like a strategy not to feel, right? And then you are upholding the very same thing that you want to escape from. So to answer your question is that we always have to use the body to work through the body. And in my toolbox, I work with everything from yoga, from karma clearings, from tantra, from, you know, applied quantum physics, different healing modalities. But it all comes back to allow these suppressed emotions to flow freely. You can even hear it by the name emotions. It means energy in motion. Emotions are designed to move through us. But again, we hold on, we cling to them, we avoid them, and they become what I call frozen emotions. So frozen emotions, so then you're not in flow, you're out of flow, you know, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, sexually, whatever. So these frozen emotions, again, the water element, right? So these frozen emotions keeps us stuck in a relationship, in our own mindset, in our, you know, so we try to escape, and the energy is moving further up in the headspace, and we try to solve the problem even more. We try to look for solutions out here, etc. Again, we need to descend and to move through the layers and layers and layers of emotions, you know, suppressed emotions, traumas, etc. And for many of us, when these comes to surface, we become afraid, right? Okay, oh, this is a feeling I don't want to have. So then we are back, you know, in the chase, in being busy and suppressing. So most of us, we are upholding the energies that we try to escape from. And that is also what the big Buddha said, that is causing the suffering for us humans. It is aversion, like we're trying to avoid, you know, uncomfortable feelings. We try to avoid these things that is being stirred up with us. As I started to talk about my own journey, you know, this volcano, and I try to distract myself walking faster and thinking, you know, around it, etc. But when you've done it a couple of times, you recognize, okay, this is just information. This is just a frozen emotion. This is just, you know, a blockage, a stuckness. And when you work through all these layers and layers of dense stored emotions, then you have access to more flow, to more consciousness, to more awareness, to the things that your soul truly desires, rather than being stuck and hold on in by the comfort zone by the ego. So, and being depressed is a good way to start, because depressed, if you look at the word, how you spell it, because we know that words are spells and we cast spells. So depressed also is deep rest, a deep rest for body, mind, and soul. So that means that this is an opportunity for growth, right?
Very interesting to look at it that way. Absolutely. Wow. Okay. I would imagine, at least for me, as I'm thinking through this, going through the cells, working through clearing your water, as you said, that's I can't see an easy way of doing that, right? Like you say, you have to put in the work, you have to spend time, and it has to be thorough by the looks of it. And it requires different tools that may or may not work for you, right? You have to try and see which one works for you as an individual.
Yeah. But it always has to involve the body, whether you do tantra, whether you do yoga, whether you do anger release, whether you do, because I work with all these, you know, as tools to guide people back to themselves, to empower people, back to themselves. And even though it might feel uncomfortable at the beginning because we are so unexperienced to experience, there's a reason why we have suppressed these emotions. They're dense, they're heavy, they're not pleasant to be in. But the longer we can just sit with an emotion and use your breathing, like conscious breathing, to allow the emotions to move, you know, like waves up and downs. The more I can sit with an emotion, regardless of how dense and intense it is, the more, it will start to, the density will be dissolved and the emotion will be flowing freely again. And then beneath or underneath these stored frozen emotions, there is this happiness, there is this light, this stillness, this trust, this, essence of who you are. So the more you dare to go in to your wounds, your shadows, your traumas, etc., the more access you have and the more water you're free with different codes of consciousness. So it is truly a work that everybody needs to do for themselves, for getting the lives they want and also for the collective consciousness. But it's also not everybody that choose it. Most people or many people choose, the comfort zone or where it's safe or to dig a little, But the more you dig, the more you find, the more gems you find.
Yeah, that's a really good way to look at it. And I'm seeing it day in and day out with myself. When I began on this journey years ago, I couldn't even imagine what I am today. And even more so once, like you said, once you start digging deeper and deeper, it gets more challenging but more beautiful at the same time. And the results, you don't even need to see them in yourself because you'll see them around you. And of course, you'll see them in yourself
Exactly.
as well, but you'll see how you interact with people, you'll see how they interact with you, you'll see how you carry yourself. At least I'm seeing it from my own eyes, but also what I'm being told around me, which is, I would say, in a way, a really good thing because as you progress through this journey, you get to see tangible results. Not necessarily you can touch them, but you can see them, you can hear them, and you can see the impact you're having on people.
Yes, it's like you are both the researcher, the participant, the observer, and you are your own receipt. Like, for instance, I wouldn't be sitting here today if I hadn't done my inner work. Then I would have been dead, a corpse long time ago. So I wouldn't be here. And I sort of come back to this sentence that the truth shall set you free, but first it might piss you off, because deep inside of ourselves we know this. We know this, but we dread to go there because it is challenging, it is intense, it is, a one man job. That is your job and your responsibility. There's no white knight on a white horse coming to save you. There's no, you know, healer, teacher, whatever that can save you, because it all comes back to yourself. People can provide you with the tools. People can talk about their own path. They have done the journey before you. You can be inspired or challenged. But at the end of the day, it's your choice and you choose, what is important. And also, I also want to take the opportunity to see, like what has been going on in our faces for the last 3 years. That has been, the universe is also designed, and this is the book where I'm writing about this, the sacred solar divine evolution through time and space, that we have made so many negative choices, each and one of us, in this lifetime, in previous lifetimes. And maybe in this lifetime, I haven't been a soldier or a perpetrator, murdering or torturing or raping somebody else, but I have been the perpetrator in my own life. How I looked upon myself, how I perceived myself, how I treated myself. I wouldn't treat nobody, as bad as I treated myself. When I was depressed and suicidal, I was so full of self-hatred. I hated myself. I hated how I looked like. I hated my life. I hated my body, so I was so filled of self-contempt and disdain. And then I didn't understand why, why I didn't feel good with all these thoughts weighing down on me and dragging me down. So if we truly see also what has been going on for the past 3 years, it's been in our faces. Like 2020, it's actually the year of the heart. So the universe conspired and in our faces threw us a little virus, and we had the choice to choose love, but most of us choose fear, right? And this is also how we treated each other, this separation that has been caused between people who took the jab or who didn't take the jab, or whatever, this separation that has been into family lines. And so the universe gave us an opportunity for the evolution of our souls, to remember who we are, to choose love, because we are love. We are love from divine source at its origin. But as we, over time, through time and space, we have made negative choices. We have killed others. We have been victims, etc. And this energy is still lingering out, and we are all transmitting it out in the collective consciousness, like radio stations. So instead of choosing the higher vibration, the higher frequency of love, most of us went into fear. And this is also what was being projected by mass media, etc. And this caused even more disconnection, from families, from partners, from society, etc. So that is very interesting, because we had an opportunity to rise and to remember who we are on a soul level. Instead, we chose the old programming, the conditioned programming, okay? And 2021, 2022, 2023, this is the year where we should connect even deeper to our souls and just take a look, what is going on in the world. So we are always given opportunities for growth, but we need to choose to take them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so much to unpack there. And one thing I want to come back to first, the importance of the message you delivered around the fact that everyone is on this journey, first and foremost, on their own. But at the same time, they have people around them that can help them, they can guide them, right? They can mentor them, coach them, and so on. So I love that message, because I feel the same way, where we each have our unique journey. It's tough, but together is how we're going to reach the destination, whatever the destination might be. for growing
Totally.
positively.
Totally. Yeah, a better world for us to live in, a world that is, free from toxics, from chemicals, from waste, from how we are polluting, ourselves and the environment. And also, both yoga and quantum physics talk about entanglement. So even though that is an inner work, we are all in this together. So we are in this together. We have created this mess together, so we can also uncreate and co-create something better. So even though there's an individual journey, we are all in the same boat, because if this boat goes down, like if the world that we know it, and our home, if we destroy this planet, then we won't have a home. It's as simple as that.
Exactly, exactly. I wanna take it a different direction just for a second here, Ulrika. I like to ask these questions towards the end of the conversation. I know we've chatted for about 60 minutes now, but if you could go back in time to one of those dark periods you had to face, right? Either before you made it to your home in the archipelago or wherever, and you could give yourself a piece of advice to help you on the journey to find yourself, to find your true heart, right? Your true purpose. What would you advise yourself in that moment?
First of all, like, everything is well, you know, everything is well, and you are held, even though it doesn't feel like it. You don't experience that you are held, because when you are there, you feel quite alone. You feel quite, you know, alone, isolated, scared, etc., etc. But you're not. You're never alone, and it's a good start. It's a good start. And I would also tell myself that don't be so hard on yourself. You know, each and one of us, we're doing the best we can with what we have at any given moment. And nowadays, I have much more love and compassion for myself because I have the capacity for it. I didn't have it back then. I did the best I could with, the little I had. So don't be so hard on yourself.
I love that message, especially because it resonates with many people. I would imagine it resonates with me, and I'm sure it resonates with many in the audience as well, because we've all been there at some point in life, and maybe we are there right now, and hopefully you find some solace in the message that's being shared right now. And as a follow-up to the question, now we go into the future. Let's say we'll pick a date 10 years from now. You see all the amazing things you've accomplished on a personal level, how many people you'll be able to help, your children growing up into fine adults, and everything else you've done is beautiful, and the world is a better place. And you get to sit down with your older self, maybe for 15 minutes, have a quick chat, and you could bring back something from that conversation to the present moment to help you on this path. What would it be?
I love you. I'm so proud of you. You did it. Yay, you did it.
That's it, right? Like, and I love that message of like, it's okay, right? Like, as much as we don't think things are okay in a specific moment, on a deeper level, we should trust us and say, you know what? It's okay. This is for us, not happening to us. And try to spin
Exactly.
it in a certain way so you can, like you said earlier, find the lesson in it. Like this challenge I'm being faced with right now, it's here to give me a gift. Maybe I can spin it and I can look at the gift side and not the other coin, which is the fear.
Yes, obviously.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, I want to ask you this, Erika, before we wrap up here. Is there anything else you'd like to mention to the audience that's top of mind for you, something that we haven't chatted about yet?
Oh gosh, there's so many things. We could do another podcast episode,
Exactly.
Constantine.
We can do part two and three and four and so on.
Yeah, but so we all have karma, right? We are like the old energy, and we come with a lot of karma, and our karma is entangled and connected to everyone else's karma. And that's also, our karmic shit is being also a reflection on what is going on. So there's so many angles that you can heal yourself. I also do karma clearings in the Akashic record. So that's one angle to go in and to, radically remove these old programs from previous lifetimes. You become aware of who you are on a soul level, what star you are born on, or where you're from, your gifts and your abilities. And or you can work the other way around, as I said, with the body. And but even though that you do karma clearings, obviously it involves the body. There's so many ways. So if there's, anything that I've said here today that is resonating with you, good. Then I have paid back a part of my karma. When I was depressed and suicidal, I listened to Oprah Winfrey show, and I don't know who was there or what was said, but there was one sentence that resonated so much with me, so I didn't commit suicide that day. And if there's, here today, if there's one word that I'm saying, one frequency, one sentence, then the circle is closed and I've paid back my karma in one way or another. That's why I love to be on podcasts, because I know that people listen to me all over the world, and I would never have been able to reach so many people, from where I am by myself. And again, we do this together. It's not about me and what I can do by myself. It is about what we can do and co-create together. So I'm truly, truly grateful. And I know that, on a soul level, we have all chosen to be here at these times. We have all chosen to be here with a specific assignment, a specific task. And I mean, I commend you, Konstantin, for having this podcast, broadcasting to people that are listening to you, and you have an impact on them, whether you know them or not, whether you know it or not. You influence people with the words, the energy, the casts, the spells we cast. So, and we all have different assignments. And I know one of my assignments here on Earth is to guide us through this ascension process, this paradigm that we are in, this awakening process that is, occurring all around the globe. Because at the end of the day, it comes back to that we are living lives that are not sustainable for ourselves, for others, or for this planet. So we
Yes,
have
absolutely.
to wake the fuck up and to see, ourselves in the mirror and to see, how am I contributing to this mess? Well, maybe, if you do a lot of shopping or, constantly need a new phone or a new telly or a new kitchen renovation or a new pair of boobs, I don't know, fill in the blanks, then you are contributing to the mess. Then you are contributing to the pollution that we see in the environment today. So, you know, the time is now to shift, to change, to transform, to become the greater versions of ourselves. 2023 is the year when we are supposedly to connect even deeper on who we are on a soul level. And 2024 will be a year that's an 8. So that's, stirring up the shit collectively. So we are in for some interesting times, and we always have a choice. Remember that.
I think that's such a powerful way to end the conversation here. We have a choice, and it sits with us. And if I may add, most people I know of and talk to, and in the past talk to, and even online, when you see people posting about this, it's like, well, what can we do about global warming? What can we do about climate change? What can we do about A, B, and C? We're just a tiny insect compared to whoever is doing this. And then people give up, they don't do anything. But
Exactly.
what I'm getting in your message and what I'm seeing more and more in my life as well is that, yes, you may not have an immediate impact. Maybe you won't see it for a day or two or a week or a month or a year. But the more you change yourself, the more things you do to improve your own circumstances, the more you impact those around you. And now they have a choice to follow in your footsteps or in their own footsteps by looking at you as an example. And all of a sudden, you have like a snowball effect or a ripple effect where more and more people are changing. All of a sudden, those changes you thought were impossible because they require so many people to come together, they're now very much possible.
For sure. And like what is going on in the world also, we can say no. We can say no to our governments. The governments are here to serve the people, right? And the word government also translates into govern as in control or rule. and ment is mind. So the original meaning of the word government is mind control. Just reflect upon that. So we can say no. The governments are supposedly to be in service for us. So they are elected by the people, and so we can say no. We can say no to things that doesn't resonate with us, and we can say yes to things that resonate with us. And we all are talking about climate changes, but are we willing, you and I willing, for instance, to not use phones, computers, etc. so much, because it takes tons of energy to keep these servers, to cool down the electricity. So just by using these scrolling, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, whatever, we are contributing to the global warming. So to take radical responsibility, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to do in your life that makes a difference?
Absolutely. I love that, Ulrika, because while it could be big changes that we have to make in our life, it all starts with small changes,
Yes,
right? Maybe
just
you order a new phone every 3 years instead of every 2 years, right? That might be a step, right? Or
exactly.
there's other smaller steps we can all take to make it a better world. And I would imagine it's not just about climate change or global warming. It's about, like you said, all the things that we have inside and that we have to clean first. So what we put outside is clean and healthy, so we can affect everything around us.
Yes, yes. The clearing that I do, raising my own inner vibration, is contributing to raising the collective consciousness. And I just also want to do the metaphor of like an arrow. When you have this arrow and you want to move forward, right? We want to move forward in life. We want to move forward in our relationships, etc. We want to evolve. But first, before you can move forward, it's like this force. You need to go inwards. You need to, the same amount as you want to expand or move forward, you need to, pull backwards. So this is also the movement that we need to do, each and one of us within us. So even if I want to evolve, if I want to, contribute out there to things or whatever, then I need to withdraw, then I need to pull back the energy first and to see what's here, to clear my own shit up, and then, to allow the arrow to fly in its direction.
And I love that analogy so much as well, because if you think about the motion of the bow and arrow, you don't have to go that far back to generate a lot of energy moving forward, and a lot bigger of a distance than the one you cover going backwards. But it is about going backwards first, because you have to step into that uncomfortable situation, do the digging, do the
Yes.
work, and then come out a lot stronger. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that analogy. It's a beautiful way to look at this. So let me ask you this before I let you go today. Where can people find you? I know you shared your books. I'm assuming they're available on Amazon and other places, but where can people find more of you, or if they want to work with you?
So I am, my website is www.ulliskarlsson.com. That is ULLISKARLSSON.com. Ullis Karlsson. Maybe you can also write it down so people see
Oh,
it.
yeah, it's going to be in the description as well for everyone, right? So people can click through it.
That's good.
But if those are listening and they can't click on the links, now you have the place where you can find all is set. Well, thank you so much, Ulrika. It's been a pleasure. I've learned a lot, and I can't wait to chat with you again. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Konstantin, for having me. And I hope that we can talk another time, to dive even deeper. And I also would like to thank you who's listening for taking your time and your energy, because the more we are listening to people with experiencing, hardships and how to move through them, the more we can also sort of, clear out our own challenges and hardships and to grow and evolve. So thank you for having me, Konstantin, and thank you for listening.
Absolutely. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for being with us today. To find out more amazing content and episodes, please visit unleashthyself.com, or you can find us on social media.